Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Fashion Experiment. I'm Dr. Bridget, your professor of all things fashion, and today's topic is fashion buying. This is a very important topic because many people think that the career of a fashion buyer is just all about shopping and spending money, but in reality, you need to be an accountant, you need to be a forecaster, you need to be very analytical and have a good knowledge of consumer behavior and a host of other skills. So today we're going to discuss fashion buying. So let's get started. So retail buying really requires a person who is very organized, very knowledgeable of the fashion industry and how trends and styles move in and out of fashion. And you have to have a keen eye for what your customer, your target market, wants for the season. So typically, most people think that the job of a buyer is very glamorous because you get to attend Fashion Week and you get to, move in circles with celebrities and notable people, which is like a perk of your career, but that's not your everyday experience. That's just a week out of every season. To be good at what you do, you have to constantly be examining the industry for changes within your target market and changes within the industry in regards to what is popular for the season. And basically, to get a really good understanding, you need to constantly be examining your sales figures, constantly be examining your stock levels to determine what sold well in the previous season, what did not sell well, how quickly did it sell, and looking even further into your assortment to see what colors sold better, what garments with different fabric content sold better, what brands sold better to make more effective buying choices your next time around. Okay, and that's just a part of it. So here is a list of responsibilities of a buyer. And all of these responsibilities is based on the type of business that you're working for because a specialty store is different from a department store, a discount store, and your approach to buying is different from a specialty store or a department store. So first you have to understand that your role will be different based on the type of retail structure you work for and the type of goods that you're offering. So, first off, is management responsibilities, and that just is understanding that you're not working by yourself, you're working with other people. You work with individuals in the corporate office, other buyers, and you have to be connected to the storefront. The district managers, all the way down to your associates are individuals that you will communicate with because you have to realize that you are the first person who gets access to the product and knows what product will be sold before everyone else. And then you have to communicate that to everyone on the storefront. You also have to have very thorough knowledge of market forecasting. That's forecasting your product, forecasting your industry. So understanding that, let's say, the cosmetics industry is very different from accessories industry. You know what's going on with costume jewelry, fine jewelry, luxury handbags. Those products are sold differently, and the way the industry receives those products is different from cosmetics, and you need to have an understanding of that. Um, Merchandise planning, selection, and development is really at the core of the buyer's responsibilities. You research your season from sales figures, based on sales figures from previous seasons, based on your assortment from previous seasons, your products that were offered in the previous season. You review how well they performed and review what is currently relevant for the season that you're planning for. And then you create what's called a 6-month buying plan. You visit showrooms, you visit manufacturers to see what their product lines look like and see what their collections look like. You make selections based on what has been budgeted for the category that you're purchasing for, and you develop a plan. And like I said, that's what's at the core of the buyer's responsibilities. Um, Working with resources represent your supplier, whoever you are purchasing your products from, working with them, and then pricing and promoting the merchandise. So there's a lot that goes into the job of a buyer, and most of it does not include, glamorous things. In regards to management responsibility, this textbook is a great resource. It's published by Bloomsbury Publishing Company, Fashion Buying from Trend Forecasting to Shop Floor. I just think these authors break down the job and career of a buyer in very simple terms, makes it very easy for anyone to understand. And then in regards to the merchandise planning, selection, and development, all of this requires a very well versed person and understanding of accounting. So basic accounting knowledge, just understanding what a profit and loss statement is or a balance sheet, understanding concepts like profit, gross margin, um, your overhead that includes direct and indirect expenses. All of that falls into a buyer's responsibility under the category of merchandise planning, selection, and development. Because you can think of it like you get, to spend millions of dollars that don't belong to you, and you are accountable for it because you're spending the money to acquire products that will be sold in the retailer storefronts. And if those goods do not sell, that could mean your job, because your job is to identify products that you know the target market will want to purchase. And that's what you are attempting to do. And when it doesn't get sold, that means you didn't do your job. So you must prepare a budget that outlines how much money you plan to spend and where the spending will occur. You must know how assortment plans are developed. The assortment plan is creating a plan that includes all the different variety of products that will be sold. So if we're talking about a fashion retailer, that could include outerwear, pants, jeans, tops, sweaters. That's your assortment, your product offerings. And then you need to know what merchandise to buy to fill in each of those product offerings. If I say sweaters, well, what kind of sweaters? A crew neck sweater, pullover, a cardigan, a coatigan, your long sweaters. What kind of sweaters? You need to identify the colors, the sizes, the fabrication. All that has to be planned out by the buyer. And then you have to develop relationships with your vendors, with manufacturers and wholesalers, because these are the individuals and organizations where you need to acquire the product from. Okay. And then as far as pricing and promoting, this is where we introduce more retail math concepts related to retail pricing. How do you develop pricing? What is the formula for pricing? And then establishing markdowns, because we know that every product that's sold in a retail store is not sold for a price. Markdowns occur, but they're not done randomly. markdowns are planned, and that's part of the buyer's responsibility. So here's another textbook that is a great resource. Mathematics for Retail Buying, so textbook that I use in my courses. It has tons of different math equations and chapters that explain the retail math concepts and show you how to break down each concept and how they relate to the buyer's responsibilities and the buyer's job, like how everything fits together. And then lastly, I just summarize all of the responsibilities of a buyer. It's a lot. It looks like a lot, and it is a lot. And it's something that takes great skill to do. And typically, that's why when an individual pursues a career in buying, you will start off either with an internship or as an assistant buyer. And with that position as an assistant, you really focus on organizing paperwork, so invoices from all the different wholesalers and vendors that you purchase from, following up with the vendors to make sure the products are being produced and packaged and delivered on time based on what has been contracted. And you kind of shadow the buyer to see how all these different responsibilities are juggled. But all in all, it really takes an individual who likes a challenge, who likes variety, and who doesn't want to be busy, because you always have something to do from the moment you get in till the time you leave. And it's not a typical 9 to 5. It depends on where you are in the season. You're going to spend more time in the office preparing your buying plans for the upcoming season. And once that's completed and you're wrapping up a current season, you start the process all over again. Like, it's a never ending process. So say we're planning fall, winter, next fall, winter 2018, 2019. And while you're planning the season, you're still in a season. So if you're planning 18, 19, you're currently in your spring, summer. So it's like you have to be present and relevant for the moment that you're in, but you're always planning a season or two ahead. And it takes a special mind to do that. Someone who likes the challenge and likes numbers and likes to think critically and likes to figure things out, because you're always trying to figure out, well, what will my customer want for the next season? And it's not extremely difficult, because believe it or not, consumers are predictable. Like, we don't change our routine, we don't change our style of dress drastically from one season to the next. We carry over a lot of pieces, and that's why it's important to look at what sold the previous season. So if I know the red sweater, cardigan sweater, sold extremely well last fall, winter, I would likely incorporate a version of a red cardigan sweater in the next fall, winter, because that is what consistently sold well. And you have what's called your staple goods and your fashion goods that are part of your product assortment. So the staples are things that you will always have, the things that consistently sell from one season to the next, regardless of whether it's hot or cold. Your customers always looking for t-shirts, or always looking for sleepwear, always looking for your foundation garments, underwear and undershirts, things like that. So you create your product assortment based on a mix of your staple goods and your fashion goods. So that's it for the retail buyer. I hope you learned something. See you the next time, everyone. Class is dismissed.